Artists, have you ever been asked to work for exposure? I have. It is one of the most common requests across creative disciplines that artists receive. It is the request to use our talent for free in service of others for the reward just to be seen, when in fact, it is we who are exposing others. Let me tell you the importance of creativity. Every day, we are literally surrounded by the work of artists and craftspeople from the day we are born to the day we die. This is how ubiquitous creativity is. It forms humanity's very identity, our very existence. It is the book that you've been dying to read. It is the movie that you watched last night and you cried. It is the music that kept you dancing until 4 a.m. because you found God on the dance floor. That is creativity. And take away all of this wonder and creation, and what do you have? You have what feels like a prison. The truth is, the capacity for human creativity and invention is one of the hallmarks, is one of the most valuable qualities of the human species. To quote Terence McKenna, creativity redeems the idea that man is good. And when you look at the world right now with everything melting down, falling apart, COVID, political upheaval, we have people protesting in the streets for freedom and civil rights and against racism. We have people fighting just to save the planet and our species and for clean air and water and for the animals to even have a fighting chance. We need this kind of creative redemption right now. It is an awful thing that so many of us are going through right now as a collective suffering. But I feel deep down that this is also, in a way, a painful awakening to something that needed to come forward into the open for a very long time. What I know for sure is that creative transformation happens at the growth edge of risk. And what I know from going to Burning Man for 20 years and completely remaking myself as an artist in the process is that human evolution happens when we begin to shift our consciousness towards what is possible, not our flaws and not all of these mistakes and not what's wrong, although that needs to be acknowledged, but we need a visionary culture to lead the way forward. And to my mind, the ultimate creative dare is to try to shift consciousness through the conduit of art. I like to think of what we're going through right now with an analogy of the evolution of a butterfly. You have this caterpillar, and in order to get this winged glory of a butterfly, it has to build a tight little cocoon around itself and utterly liquefy its entire being in order to restructure itself to graduate and fly into the light and become a butterfly. This is who we are right now. This is where we are right now as human beings. We are inside that cocoon. We are in identity crisis. We are in quarantine. We are in lockdown. We are a society restructuring ourselves, hopefully, from the ground up, because we have realized that our ways are unsustainable and that we have to let go of who we were to become the society that we want to be. So the good news is that throughout human history, creators have been on the forefront of uplifting and shaping human identity. From the cave paintings of Lascaux in France to the paintings of Titus Kaphar in the United States, from the temples of ancient Egypt to the futuristic architecture of Zaha Hadid, from the transcendent Icaros of the Peruvian shamans to the gut-wrenching, uplifting songs of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. And just for good measure, from the Eleusinian mysteries of ancient Greece to the transcendent, creative experiment of Burning Man. All of this is relevant, and all of this is needed now. You are needed right now. This time is no different. So at Burning Man, I built this 75-foot wide sculptural space called Helios. It was inspired by Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man drawing as a gesture of self-empowerment. But the first thing I wanted to do with the sculpture was to create a ritual. And I did that by asking people to interact with the art, by writing what they wanted to illuminate within themselves and share with the world at a central altar that everyone wrote on endless scrolls this really personal, deeply aspirational secret. And they hid it inside the altar and went up the stairs and then stood and closed a circuit with their bodies and projected a light beam out into space. And if you encouraged your community and 5 other people to do exactly the same thing at exactly the same time, and all crossed your light beams and held it for a minute straight, then the light sequences would materialize and the lights shone down this centered mirrored torus, bounced off a 6-sided mirrored pyramid, and your light that you shone out into the world was returned to you tenfold. This is the kind of art that we need right now, art that empowers people. Like the one who escaped the illusory default world of Plato's allegory of the cave. Artists are called to expose the truth and offer a vision of an evolved reality. Call it the highest common denominator instead of the lowest common denominator. That's really what working for exposure is. Working to expose how we need to evolve. Working with intention. Working with the highest good in our mind, because that's the only way our humanity is going to heal. Because when you change the heart and you change the mind, you change consciousness. And when you change consciousness, you can change the world. Let's get to work.